We're going to begin this video in a different way because somebody has really pissed me off with their mouth, and I just did work for them. He owns a repair shop and he sends customers here. First of all, the dynamics of this economy, which we're going to get to what the Jews taught me in my family. We're going to cover this. Now, there was a few order parts locally. Why you pay twice for them is because they're ordering them online just like we are, and that's just what the facts are. Okay, so you're going to pay twice as much so they can replace their inventory or sit on it. Now, you and I ordered online. A lot of times it takes us weeks and days to get our money back. Okay, see where I'm going with this? I want you to look at that. This is what the Jews taught me in my family is conquest, the pyramid. You are in the middle of the pyramid with the money. And you have your employees that work for you, and this side, the banking, your capital. I had land, vehicles, equity. But you need to take over and put somebody else out of business. I was one of the only builders building houses with 2x6 walls. It was a rarity to have a builder that would build a house with 2x6 walls. But we're going to automotive with a 2002 Ford Ranger, four-wheel drive with those lower control arms. And there's been a couple of videos on YouTube because it's a big booby trap. Okay? If I don't know why you would take a rotten. There was one video where the guy said the control arms were rotten, and he fixed them and took them off. Look, folks, that bolt for those lower control arms, the lower control arm bolt on a Ford Ranger, it's almost impossible to get it. I had 4 dealerships, one in California, I think one was in North Carolina, the other was up in New York. You just ain't getting them. I think I got them from Jeff's Bronco Graveyard down in Arizona area there. He is the guy that got them to me. But that truck sat at a friend's shop on the lift a better part of, I would say, 2.5 months. The control arms can be found. Rancho makes them. Now, I don't know if they're a stock fit. There's a couple different kits, Detroit Axle, but you're not getting that lower control arm bolt because it's a gall bolt. So that means if you take it apart cold turkey, it's going to snap. Then the truck is undrivable. And then you still don't know if you're going to get those bolts. And that's why I get my money from my customer first for those parts. Because a lot of times if they come from those obscure sources, I'm not getting my money back. Now, number 2 with the gall nut on. A gall nut is used in place of lock washers or a nylon. It's where there's a high compression area, such as suspension. Okay? Ford, I believe, is one of the only ones that uses an independent control arm bolt. The earlier GM and some of the Chryslers did as well. But a gall nut galls the threads. It scores the threads. It's illegal to put them back together. And this guy's a state inspection mechanic, and he's got a shit pile of Chryslers. He's a Mopar guy. He knows what a fucking torsion suspension is and what it is to take it apart. So if you take a torch there, then you melt the bushings. Now, if I would have ground on that and cut it out, there would have been nothing else. And the truck had the same exact problem occurring on the other side. So I put my rust coating on it, and I told the kid, hey, it's just a patch. And he said, what'd you charge me $1,500 for it? Well, I rust coated what I could, and I fixed 2 other areas because I know those Ford Rangers. See, these people talk to me like I've never touched a vehicle before. See, the reason why I'm working in my backyard, so to speak, I don't want to put up with working for turds like him. They think I can sprinkle pixie dust and unicorn farts on a vehicle and fix it. And there's a lot of other guys on YouTube that are saying the same thing. These people come in with dreams of grandeur, and they think it's going to be a couple $100 or half a Social Security check, and their car's fixed. Those Ford Rangers are rot boxes. Now, the only reason why I even went ahead with it is because the kid said the truck was sentimental to him. And hopefully, I was hoping through the situation that just transpired, instead of the guy driving up here and calling me an asshole and a liar, that things would have transpired, that he would have talked sense to the kid. It's the proper thing to do because he's a young kid. And a lot of people don't understand. But with this guy working on torsional suspensions and lower control arms and racing Chryslers, okay, if you raced a real Chrysler like my Roadrunner, I had my whole front end rebuilt. The first time I went down to fucking strip with that thing at Maple Grove, I think I told you, and that happened to my Nova. I heard crack. unibody, B-body. Picked it up and cracked. Right where the door closes by the rear window. It cracked the roof. So I not only had to have the suspension rebuilt, I not only had to have subframe connectors put in, and then once the subframe connectors were in, I'll never forget, it was my other uncle, Maynard, in the speed shop. Maynard he put his arm on my shoulder, and he looks at me and he says, "Son, I got news for you. You're not done yet." Well, I got all this money, and you told me. Yeah, but he says, you need the traction bars to connect, he says, to the subframe connectors, because he said you can still twist the body of the car. He said, you're lucky the car's not shot, because they checked the underbody, he checked everywhere, and it was split out on the right rear where the subframe is. It was split out there on the Roadrunner, and they fixed it. And he said to me, this will keep that from happening. Now, me being a race car driver, this is why I gave up drag racing. Okay? I didn't understand about the tire pressures. I understood about the front, the front suspension and having a lighter aluminum. We put all aluminum stuff in there. God knows where he even got that. I know it was being made out in California on the West Coast at a shop out there. But he got a high strength, the frame, the front frame member, the front frame horns, and then he welded. He took out the front wheel wells, which is basically what lowers the value of my car. There's only a portion of the wheel wells where he put tube frame in there, and then that was tied in down the frame to the subframe connectors that were put in the car. Long story, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's just that there was a lot of work. And then after the car was done, I went back to Maple Grove, and it was a bad day for me. I almost lost the car because of the tire pressure. I didn't understand about tire pressures, setting one side a little higher for grip and the other side a little lower, that the car is going to walk. Even with a posi rear end, they're going to walk. That's why guys are down there and they take practice run after practice run. And then there's guys that just show up and they think they have the car, or they remember that they set the car the way they had and it didn't work, and they end up in the wall. Because I went totally squirrely, and the only thing that saved my ass was the car totally spun around. I was actually facing back towards the timing lights, and that was basically the last time I ever raced. And then my folks and my dad and my uncle sat down with me, and they said to me, look, you're going to lose the car. The car's going to be worth money. It's already an NHRA Roadrunner. Now it's all highly modified. One day somebody will find this and call it a gem, and they'll probably give you what you want for it, and we'll get all our money back, or at least not, Maynard's not around anymore. Clayton's not around. Clarence, they're all gone. Just my dad at 90 years old. So the car is basically the gift that's in the car. I'll still get it out of it maybe 20 years from now. Maybe my son will get it out of it. But the argument with this guy to come up here and jump all over me when I told the kid, those control arms are shot. There's no replacing those bolts. You're not just taking the bolt out when it's a torsion suspension, because you're not going to get the bolt back in with all that pressure. And then, I'm going to take all that torsion apart, sprinkle the unicorn farts and pixie dust. Usually, that torsion bar is frozen in there. And I told him right to his face when he was here arguing with me, we cut them apart. We don't try to save anything other than the torsion bars, if they're savable. Sometimes they're so frozen into those A-frame arms when they're rotten like that, you're not getting them out. So, when you have guys from a shop sending you work, okay, I don't think this guy's mentally capable. I think maybe he was just looking for an argument today. Maybe he was in a bad mood. Maybe that kid lied to him. But I just showed him. I still had the picture on my other camera, and it was in my Google Photos, and I showed it to him. What I showed that fucking kid was the kit that goes on that truck. And you can find the two-wheel drive A-frame arms, upper and lower. They're like $200-300, somewhere in there. But the one for the four-wheel drive is above $400, and those bolts are a farce to get for those Ranger trucks. And as I said, there was a YouTube video where the guy says, I took the bolts out, and I put it back together, and I cleaned up the arms and welded washers in there. He took that torsion out of there. You're not getting that torsion out of there when you take that lower bolt. You got to take all of that apart, okay? And then to weld washers in there, hell, I just would have got the kit and put it back together, Because I said, you go to heat that bolt up with the gall nut, that's the way you get it out. You burn the bushings, then the bushings are gone. So some of the videos on YouTube, they are slightly twisted, fractured fairy tales. But for this guy to jump all over me and not know me, and especially when you see the vehicles that I have, that they're all there. Oh, is this the kind of work that you do? Really pissed me off. Thanks for watching my videos, and hopefully you're going to look up the four-wheel drive Fords, that torsional suspension, and maybe somebody will have a proper process, because a lot of guys, there's videos on there, they make you believe they took it apart and repaired it. I don't even know too many salvage yards that get them apart without melting the bushings. I have gotten salvage A-frame arms for them, but they've just about dried up because of the age of them, and because of it's a common problem. Like those Silverados, 99 to 2010 and 15, they all have the common rot problems, all in the common areas. And so do the F350s. I was showing you the holes in the floor of this F-150, but they're all like that with that the kick panel there at your feet. You know, the plastic kick panel, holes right through the floor. Why can't you just mount a welded track with clips in there? You don't have to go through the fucking floor. To me, it was a planned obsolescence of the fact. Just like I wanted to reach out to Uncle Tony at Uncle Tony's Garage. Great video on the flock cameras, what they got in store. And just imagine that you're going to be able to get zapped by some asshole with a camera system or a hacker and zap your truck and shut it off. Oh my God. And then Tony's talking about the flock cameras catching everybody, and yeah, well, the only thing a flock camera won't see is a politician and their license plate when they're drunk. Thanks for watching my videos, guys, and hopefully when you run into a guy like this, he's not going to act like a window-licking fucking retard, and he's going to listen to you. I did what the kid said he could afford to have done. I told him it needed to be replaced. He didn't. He had a carrot in his ear. I can't cure or fix stupid, dumb, lazy, and there's a half a dozen other human conditions. I can't fix them. Fix a truck? I fix trucks. I rebuild trucks. I have no problem with it. Fixing stupid or people that deliberately don't want to understand something, like I don't think to me, he was deliberately wanting to call me a liar. Like I didn't warn this kid that, you know, that there was a problem with it. Thanks for watching my videos, okay? That's all I have to say. Hopefully you're going to appreciate my video, and you're going to watch when I'm talking about those lower control arms on those Ranger trucks, the four-wheel drives. Even the two-wheel drives get rotten, but they're a piece of cake to replace those. When you deal with that torsion on them front ends on them things, you know you're into problems, and especially if part of the torsional where it's anchored in there, where that breaks out, because that's like a unibody setup. Thanks for watching my videos. Just research it. See if there's any more thorough videos than what I came across. Because even though I said I know and I've done things before, YouTube's it's like a refresher course. And a lot of times I can then remember as I see the process where the smoke and the mirrors begin and where the smoke and mirrors end. Thanks for watching my videos.